media violence is using any of the social media platforms that we have, WhatsApp, Facebook, or TikTok, or any of the others, to cause harm or to hurt somebody or to cause some sort of damage. So it could be emotional, psychological, and sometimes in the long run it could end up being physical damage to a person or to a group of people. So the various negative aspects about social media, I think the biggest one usually is, as much as we're using it to inform, it also is a very big source of misinformation. Okay, so anybody can go online and become an expert in whatever field they want to do, and we have a lot of unverifiable information going on around. The problem with that is we know social media reaches a lot of people at the same time, like in a very short period of time. And if somebody decides to misinform, then it spreads really, really fast. Then other things that social media, other problems with social media, issues with privacy. Of course, we always say that once you've posted something online, it stays there forever. It doesn't matter if you delete it or not, you still keep having those things popping up here and there. There are other things such as bullying. Social media can be used as a tool for bullying, so people, it's actually very easy because I hide behind a screen and I can say whatever I want to say and I can harm you while I'm in the process of doing that. So that's actually one of the types of social media violence that we will talk about. The other thing is that social media can, other problems that social media can cause is forcing people not to live in the moment. Like you're just posting all the time instead of living life and enjoying and connecting with human beings. So I think we've seen a lot of that. People are going out for dinner or they're somewhere and everybody is scrolling on their phone and checking their Instagram and Facebook and all that instead of actually connecting with the people around them. And other problems, it could actually cause you to have mental health issues and illnesses such as anxiety, depression, and this could come when you keep seeing your peers are posting things and they seem to be always doing these great things. It might be a lie, of course, but again, we said you can't really verify that. But then you keep getting this pressure and stress as a result of that, and you end up with a mental health problem or a mental illness as a result of that. There have also been other issues that social media can cause, such as poor sleep. Instead of you sleeping, you spend your time scrolling and you're on your phone, so you end up sleeping for less hours, and of course the next day you're less productive at work and you're fatigued and all that, and it causes sleep-related issues. Okay. Then I think we should also bring up addiction at this point, so the people who end up being addicted to social media. So addiction is a brain disease that we say is chronic, which means it keeps recurring and it lasts a long time. And there's actually some changes that occur in your brain when you get addicted to anything. It could be drugs or other things. And social media addiction is one of the new things that has come up. And if you find yourself always wanting to check, always wanting, to check your posts, see how many likes you've got. You can't help yourself. All the time you're online. Instead of working, you're there. Instead of studying, you're online. And maybe you could be having an addiction and you should seek help. So there are various types of social media violence. One of the things that can happen is you can get social media or online sexual abuse. So sexual abuse is just any sexual act that is, how do I say this? That is any sexual act towards you that was unwanted. You did not want it to. It was not welcome, basically. So. Of course, sexual abuse can be emotional, it can be psychological, it can be physical. The ones that commonly occurs in social media is the emotional and psychological, because that person is not there with you real time. So it could be maybe somebody sharing photos with you, sharing content with you, videos that are sexual and that you did not welcome. So that would be one of the ways. Or yeah, basically that's it. That's what I would say. So of course, in the long run, which is I think the next thing we're talking about is going to be social media grooming. And when you have social media grooming, it just means like an older person, most of the times it's an adult, who makes friends with a younger person who doesn't know better, makes them feel safe, and then the long run, what they're doing is they're trying to harm this person sexually. So then they make you feel safe. They arrange. They end up making you arrange. What are they called? Like meetings with them, and they make you send them photos of what you're doing at that time, and you feel like this is my friend. So sometimes it actually can be an older person who creates a persona of a younger person just to make you feel safer about opening up to them. And once you open up to them, they suggest things to you, and at the end of it all, you end up being what is it called? Yes, opening up to them basically, and doing things that you would not have done. So when you're groomed, actually, you could move from the emotional and psychological sexual abuse to physical if that person ends up convincing you that you need to come and see them physically, and you end up at their place, and then they can actually sexually abuse you. So the other one is human trafficking. So you'll notice that these things, the grooming and the trafficking, they've always happened. It's just that now social media has made it easier, because you can access very many people at the same time, and you remain anonymous. So it's very hard for you to get caught when you're doing this behind the scenes. So of course trafficking can also occur online. It's easy to recruit people. Most of the times it would be under false impressions of there's a job abroad, and all you need is maybe you need to have finished high school or your high school certificates, and then they make these arrangements. You never meet this person, and the next thing you notice, you've been taken out of the country. Once you get there, things change, and you end up doing totally different things than you had been told that you're going to do. The work changes, whatever it is you're supposed to do changes. So sextortion it's one of those newly coined words, right? So sexual extortion, right? So extortion is when somebody tries to get something out of you by use of coercion, or when somebody threatens you. Actually, I think threatens is a better word. So sextortion just basically means that somebody uses their online presence to extort you. So telling you, if you don't send me money, I'm going to release maybe nudes or sexual videos or photos of you that I have. Okay. So again, it becomes a bit difficult, because if we've said that social media never forgets. So if you posted something at some point, and even if you had no direct relationship with this person, of course you start wondering, did I post something somewhere, and then this person is going to want to extort me right now. Sometimes it could be somebody you're in a relationship with, and you sent photos to that you consented for them to see. But now, because maybe the relationship has broken down, or they want something from you, now they want to expose this information to the whole world. So that's what sextortion is. Cyberbullying is just bullying is just picking on somebody for whatever reason. Maybe it's something that's different, or about them, or something you don't like, you just want to pick on them for whatever that reason. But now, instead of doing it real time, you go behind your phone or your laptop, whatever it is you use your social media persona to now bully this person. So it could be you keep posting things about them, you keep posting things on their wall, or you also could inflame other people around this person, so that they also start picking on that specific person. So that also, impersonation is a form of cyberbullying, where you pretend to be somebody, and then you start sending content through their as them. So I've seen times when people have actually created a whole new page, and I take your photos and I post them as mine. I start pretending to be you, send friend requests, and then I start posting things about you. So that's impersonation. Sometimes this cyberbullying can actually move into criminal activity. Okay, I've also seen people who've been cyberbullied to almost to the point where they have wanted to die of suicide. So that can also happen. It can be that serious. Okay. The effects of social media violence on an individual. This could be, of course, varied. So most of the times it will be an emotional or a psychological effect. So we've already talked about some of these things, like lack of sleep. When you're not sleeping enough, because you're always scrolling, and then now you have issues the next day, you're not able to concentrate on your work, you're not able to be productive the next day, and then also the lack of privacy, depending on how much you're sharing. We've had instances where people have overshared, and they've ended up even having things like somebody you keep sharing where you are, the location you are at, and then somebody just shows up, and that person can actually physically harm you, right? We've talked about addiction already, so if you can also end up with social media addiction, you can experience all this violence on social media, bullying, you can experience extortion, you can be trafficked, and all that. And we've also talked about the various mental illnesses that you can get. You can get stress and anxiety by seeing what other people are posting and feeling like you're not enough. Can make you have esteem issues, can actually have self-esteem issues, and other mood disorders. So I think another effect that we've seen social media causing happening like on an individual is you have people they lack empathy. You lack empathy for other people. Instead of you helping somebody's being attacked, somebody's drowning, and what you do, you take out your phone and you're filming it for likes, whatever it is. So that has also been a big issue that social media has brought up. Okay, so if you've been bullied online or experienced any social media violence, there are various things you can do just to mitigate those effects. So of course the first thing would be for you to take a step back from social media. I mean, if you can quit altogether, that's fine. Quit, get out, or take a break from it. Maybe give yourself a month or so just to be able to process what has happened. And of course when you come back, you will need to come back with a lot of boundaries, right? You need to decide which pages you're following, who you will limit from having interactions with you, and like whoever is your friend, who are your friends, you can also just clean out your friend list or the people who are following you and the people you're following when you come back. Okay. So what are you doing when you stop using social media? So there are various things that you should do. You should actually take time to process what has happened to you. Okay, you could do this by yourself, of course, but sometimes the damage is very much, and you need somebody to help you. So this is where you can go and see your psychologist or your psychiatrist, or if maybe you're in school, you have a guidance counselor, you can also go and see them to help you just process this and see if you need further help from that. Also, while you're out, it would be nice for you to explore other things that you can do. I mean, it's not only social media that you can use to pass time. So you might have other hobbies. Take up something outdoors. At least that will help you distress and help you relax a bit. So if you've been bullied, there are ways that online you can report a page and have it shut down. Okay. Apart from that, if it's somebody who's the person bullying you, especially for the younger people, if it's somebody who's in your school, because most of the times it's been shown that whoever is bullying you physically is the same person who will transfer this bullying online. So if it's somebody who's in your school and you have authorities, and also you should report them so that the right actions are taken against them. So this is always parents protecting their children from social media violence and online bullying is usually a very difficult thing to tackle, especially for us as professionals, right? Because then the first thing usually is, I mean, it's logical for you to say, don't give your children gadgets, don't expose them to social media. The society is changing, right? And we need to accept that things are changing. So the things that you, maybe I and the older generation had, we didn't have access to phones until I think when we joined university. But right now, there are children who are getting access to phones as even 4 years. I've seen 4-year-olds with phones. I think there's a study somewhere that said about most children by 7 years are getting access to phones, which means that now they are being exposed to these things. So then the first thing as a parent would be, before you give your child a phone, would be for you to empower that child, right? For them to know when the space is not safe. Okay, for them to know that I'm scrolling, and then I see something that I feel is not safe. I should stop there and inform my parent, right? And if somebody is bullying you, somebody is targeting you, they should know what to do about it. So you should tell them about the reporting mechanisms, you should tell them to come to you, so that these children are resilient and they have this knowledge to know that, yes, this is a fun space to be, but there are dangers as well. And when the dangers occur, this is how they look like, and this is what I should do. So that's the most important thing to be able to do. Now, the other thing is their parental control in most of these social media sites, which as a parent you should utilize. I know this now brings up the issue of privacy. Are you going to let your child have privacy, or are you going to control your child's online presence? So this is something you as a parent should think about, the balance, because there has to be a balance for how much you're allowing your child to do without you checking in on them. Okay, but there's some of the sites such as YouTube. I mean, you can do YouTube for kids instead of just letting them have all this content flooded on them, this adult content flooded on them, because like there's this algorithms. Once they look at one thing, then different things keep coming. So when you have these safety controls, at least you're controlling what they're able to see or not. And please check in on your children once in a while. I mean, if you guys are in the house and your children are on their tablets or their phones, just pass by and snoop a bit. I mean, it's still okay, so that you know what they're doing. Okay. Also there's also limiting the screen time. You really need to limit your children's screen time so that they have time to do other things and they're able to be creative, because what social media and this has been doing is stifling creativity, and the children are not exploring outside because they're always on their screens. They're not thinking, they're not becoming creative. So you need to really limit the screen time to about 1 hour a day. The obstacles in making social media spaces safe are also very many, but I think the obvious one is that these are not spaces that we can really control. Fine, there are some controls that we're given, but once in a while, you know that even if you've blocked somebody or you've muted somebody, their content will pop up somewhere on your space, right? And all these algorithms, or maybe you're watching something different, and then these other things keep showing up on your space. So is that. There's also that poor control on social media where I could block you, but then you go and form a new space or a new page, and then you now start trolling me with that new page. So the control issues are it's a very thin line. There's also the issues of privacy, and most of the times, if you do not change your privacy settings, you notice that people can share your things. There's hacking. People can actually hack into your pages and post things and send things to your friends and ask for stuff. So there's a lot of issues with confidentiality, privacy, and control, basically. I think that's it. And there's also the other problem with making it safe is that it's very accessible. Like, you can access social media from very different gadgets these days. So you might actually take away somebody's tablet or phone, but then they go to school, and in school there is a computer lab, and they're able to access things from the computer lab. And we even have smart TVs these days, so there's like so much accessibility. So it's difficult to really control that and make it safe. We can't say do not use social media, it's bad. We've already said it has some good parts of it. So some of the things that you can do is one, limit the time that you take on social media, right? So it could be different for different people, but just have a set time and say this is the time when I'll be using this and this social media platform. The other thing would be for you to decide which social media platform you want to stay on, because it can get overwhelming when you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, WhatsApp, what are those? Snapchat, YouTube. So you're here trying to juggle, you're here, you're there, you're like, what's happening here, what's happening there? So it would be nice for you to decide, I am sticking with this one, and I keep to that one, instead of me moving all over around. Also make time for other things that will distract you from always being on social media. Okay, hobbies, any hobby that you can do, that's fine, especially outdoor things, exercise, so that you can get this pheromones and this high that you get from social media from other forms or other things that you can do in your life. Okay, then if you do notice that you have an addiction, and if you find yourself always on social media, spending most of your time there, and always trying to just go through things, posting or looking at how many likes you have. If you haven't used social media for a while, you feel anxious or you feel irritable, then you might be having a problem, and it would be prudent for you to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist, just for further evaluation to see if you have an addiction, so that you can get the help that you need. The other things would be also for you to utilize the privacy settings, of course. Make sure that you've put the proper privacy settings, so you can control who sees what you post. And now that we're talking about posting, you need to learn not to overshare and to overpost. Okay, some things should be private. Okay, so you need to learn to keep your private life private as much as possible, unless if you're a celebrity, of course, and then putting your life out there is your business, right? So it's prudent for you to decide what it is you would like to share, because you can't be sharing every single small thing of your life every day. You're always posting everything. So my name is Sarah Wawa. I'm a psychiatrist. No more damaged adults. Stop child abuse.